In the early 90s, Nickelodeon was kid everything. And you better hope that your house had cable.
Wasn't there to educate you. We were there to have fun, to get slime, to be entertained.
And this is when Dan Schneider arrives, Nickelodeon's golden boy. He created these shows that were hugely successful for them.
No one had ever really done sketch comedy starring kids for kids.
He launched the careers of child actors who became major stars.
For 20 years, he shaped children's entertainment and culture.
Hey, thank you for being here.
But that marked one of the darkest chapters. Working for Dan was like being in an abusive relationship.
Dan's treatment of people on his shows was an open secret.
So my lawyer filed complaints, gender discrimination, hostile work environment, harassment, and it was so devastating.
How safe can any kids be in that environment? There would be even bigger problems down the line with actual pedophiles on set.
These are 3 predators who worked at Nickelodeon, all in a short amount of time.
Hey guys, what are you for you?
It was a toxic environment. It made me trust people less.
We were there for so many hours. You get comfortable with people until you're not.
I had no idea what I was saving my son from. It's a house of horrors.
They find this enormous trove of child pornography.
The officer said we found Ziploc bags, each one with a girl's name on it.
11 charges of child sexual abuse related to a child actor.
It made me wonder who was being hurt.
I've been waiting 17 years for today.
It wasn't dealing with anybody on the shows or anything, right?
It was a child actor.
On one of our shows.
Yes.
Have you ever told your story publicly before?
Good God. Woo! My Lord. Quiet on set. Is Nickelodeon grooming our children? My God, I watched this documentary last week and I was completely stunned. I will say this. I was completely stunned because these are all shows that I was a little bit too old for. But by the time my nephew and niece came around, this is their era of stuff that they watched. And I remember my niece used to come over the house and she'd be watching all these shows on Nickelodeon and Disney and stuff. And, you know, I just wouldn't be paying much attention to them. But now I go, oh, my God. Goodness. What the hell were they showing children? And this is why, folks, you have to watch your kids. You know, we going back to the first topic. Usher is claiming that he saw a lot of wild stuff at Diddy's mansion. And now there's a lot of rumors about him and Diddy. But, you know, he said he was exposed to a lot of crazy and wild stuff. When he lived, his mother actually sent him to live with Sean Combs in his mansion when he was 14 years old. He said that he was told that it was record executive L.A. Reid's idea to have him move into Diddy's home to see the lifestyle. Now, why would L.A. Reid want Usher to see the lifestyle? And he said the place was, when he was asked that the place was filled with women and orgying nonstop, Usher replied, I got a chance to see some things. I don't know if I could indulge and even understand exactly what I was looking at. He also told Rolling Stone that Diddy introduced him to a different set of stuff, sex specifically. He said, sex is so hot in this industry, man. There was always girls around. You'd open a door and you'd see somebody doing it or several people in a room having an orgy. Again, this is what the music industry, this is what Hollywood has for your children. These are the people who are, you know, making the entertainment. You know, and now you have Nickelodeon. Usher was a child star. Now you have these child stars from Nickelodeon who are making all these allegations now. Quiet on Set from Investigation Discovery. It's a 4-part docuseries. I suggest if you have Investigation Discovery, it's $285 on DirecTV. Watch it. If you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you have great-grandchildren, watch it. I'm telling you. You will want to hear exactly what was going on. Not only were they abusing the children, they were abusing your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren with some of the humor that they had for these kids. So it's basically about the climate that was perpetuated by Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider was the producer, the sort of director, showrunner, I guess, during that time period. I knew him because I used to watch this show called Head of the Class when I was a kid. When I was a little kid, he used to be on Head of the Class with Robin Givens, and I forget who else was on Head of the Class. I used to love that show when I was a very small child when that show was on. He was the fat guy in Head of the Class, and so that's how I knew Dan Schneider. But he ended up being the head honcho of children's television in America during the 90s and the late 90s and early 2000s. His shows were filled with all kinds of inappropriate jokes for children. He had a habit of putting child actors in subtextually sexual sketches, particularly on All That, which was like a children's version of Saturday Night Live. And he was the head writer and the showrunner. For example, Leon Frierson, a young black man who was in the documentary, he was put in a skin-tight superhero costume with phallic-looking prosthetic noses on the shoulder. The punchline of the sketch resulted in the nosy superhero shooting snot out of one of these phallic apparatuses, I guess. And so obviously I think we know what that is supposed to represent. He also used to run the Amanda Show about starring Amanda Bynes, who's had a lot of trouble. She's the sort of prototypical ex-child star with problems. And there's been a lot of talk about her relationship with Dan Schneider. On her show, she was asked to play a character called Penelope Taint. And anybody who has the Google can look up what a taint is. According to the writers, they were told to lie about the anatomical meaning of the word to Nickelodeon executives. So they were sneaking subversively sexual jokes in for these children. Your children, not mine. Quiet on Set also cites a sketch in which a fully clothed Dan Schneider sits in a hot tub with Amanda Bynes, which was indicative of his inappropriate humor and the close relationship between Schneider and the young star. He's like in his 40s or something. And she's like 13, I'm sorry. They also dealt with the black actors felt like they were racially sort of profiled. Brian Hearn, who's a young black male actor from All That, was cast as a Girl Scout cookie dealer, which mimicked a drug dealing scenario, and was told that his skin was charcoal while he was being fitted by for a costume. He was known for sexualizing young girls. This included jokes about girls being slapped by sausages and wanting to be on the wood. There was a lot. He seemed to be obsessed with feet, had a foot fetish. He would zoom in and give you gratuitous feats of tongues licking something and feet. Some of these shows would have extra web content where he would have Ariana Grande, who's a huge superstar now. She's, you know, if you don't know who Ariana Grande is, your kids definitely do. And your grandkids, they know who Ariana Grande is. She's a superstar now, but she got her started on this Nickelodeon show. Please hold on, caller. I'll get to you in a minute. She would actually, they would do these for the internet only web content. They would show her putting tomatoes in her bra, sucking on her own toes, massaging a potato in a very sexual manner. If you watch the documentary, you can see the way she's massaging a potato. It's very provocative, and pouring water on herself while she's just wearing her just tank top in a very sexually suggestive manner. So again, you have these people who are making children's television for 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, making sexually suggestive content that's pushing all these boundaries to have your kids wondering what the hell it is. They also had sex offenders, literal sexual predators on the set. According to the mother of a young girl who was an extra, the parents weren't allowed on set, and they were ushered around by this production assistant named Jason Handy, who was busted for his inappropriate relationships with children. He was sending naked pictures to underage girls. When the police raided his home afterwards, they found 10,000 images of child pornography. And this dude was working as a production center, assistant on all these shows. He had the underwear of a 7-year-old girl in his possession. After testimony that accused him of engaging in sexual activity with a minor, he was sentenced on 2 felony counts and 1 misdemeanor. Just a few months after his arrest, Brian Peck, who was an actor turned dialogue coach, he was found to be a pedophile too. Now he would actually portray on the show All That a character named Pickle Boy. Are you serious? Pickle Boy? Good God. Peck, who was pen pals with the serial killer John Wayne Gacy, yes, that John Wayne Gacy, was arrested on 11 charges of sexual abuse related to a child actor. In 2009, another worker at Nickelodeon Ezell Channel was convicted of abusing a boy on the set in 2005. He had also had prior convictions as a sex offender, but ended up working for Nickelodeon. It's ridiculous. And when people testified against Brian Peck in court, a lot of famous actors came out to support this man, this pedophile. Alan Thicke from Growing Pains, James Marsden from X-Men, Joanna Kearns from Growing Pains, the mother from Growing Pains. So many people came out to support this guy. They wrote letters of support for this man. Hold on, caller. Let me get to this last part because it's very, very apropos. The most shocking part of this documentary is the revelation that the victim of Brian Peck was the star of one of their biggest shows ever, named Drake Bell. He was the star of the show Drake and Josh, which, again, if you have children who are young millennials or old Zoomers, you will know that those guys were like rock stars during that time period in the 2000s. They were huge. Okay, according to Bell, Peck and Drake became very close. Now, Drake Bell's father, if you watch the documentary, said, "I don't like this guy. I don't want him around my son." And at that point, Brian Peck went took it upon himself to ostracize Drake Bell's father from his mother and from his life, to the point where the father, who was trying to stop his son from being a victim, was cut out of his son's life. And it was all influenced by this pedophile, Brian Peck. Bell's father was his manager, and Brian Peck convinced Bell's mother and Drake Bell to get rid of his father as the manager, because he was trying to stop this from happening. Now, Bell actually talked about that when he was 15, he was actually staying at Brian Peck's house and woke up to the 41-year-old Brian Peck sexually assaulting him. He woke up to he was 15 years old. He woke up to a 41-year-old man brutally sexually assaulting him. He said this kick-started a pattern of abuse that continued over 6 months that increased in severity. Bell said that he realized that he was trapped with no way out, and describes the abuse as extensive and pretty brutal. And he ultimately said, "Why don't you think of the worst thing that can happen to someone as a sexual assault, and that will answer your question." Good Lord. Dios mío. They were very traumatizing acts of sexual assault. But yes, these are the people who are making children's television. And they are grooming your children. That's apparently what's going on here. Let me get this caller. Hello, caller.
Cannonball.
What's up?
Yeah, man, I heard your new intro, man. You know, straight out of the cannon, man.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. Good, good headliner there, man. You couldn't pick one better, man, for yourself, man, because, hey, man, you do be putting holes in. But listen here, man, this is what I want to say.
Yes, yes.
We're going to start at the top with the masculinity of, of the Negro man, as you say, the black man, Afro-American, whatever you want to, categorize it as. But let me tell you this. That's one of the propaganda tools, man, that they're using, man. I don't buy into that concept, man, but one can't want to, get into that organization, man, that sells that buffoonery, man. That's all it is. I don't believe it. I'm not going to, buy into that. But let me tell you, now we're going to go from the buffoonery of black men being demasculated, where, put in a dress, as you would say, sugar in their shorts, whatever. That ain't happening, brother. Now listen, what you do when you go up there and pull that lever, you pull it to impact your quality of life. You look at one side, you say, wait a minute. Now, this is an old saying, one stab you in the back and one stab you in the chest. Which one, is the best? Both of them hurt, but at least I can see you, see the white of your eyes. I respect the man not stabbing me in the back. You understand, and being a coward about it. You stab me in the chest, I can take that. But let me say this right here. Now, when you said that about the Nickelodeon, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, at that time, I got millennials, right? Mm-hmm. So I was buying them, even that on the VHS tapes. You know what those are, right?
Oh, yeah, I used to have I still got a bunch of VHS tapes.
Okay, then. You were sitting there watching it. It was over my head. I looked at that. I seen that as child play. Now, if they want to spin it and, quiet on set, the dark side of kids' TV, that's all good. I saw that. I'm not going to buy into that because I know I wasn't no fool. Like I said, it was over my head. I didn't find it hellacious. Mm-hmm. But you could find hellacious in anything if you look at it hard enough. You could see two ants crawling on the ground and one crawl on the top of the other one, and you would see a sex ant. But they're just crawling over each other, trying to get to the other side of the road. But back to P. Diddy now, we'll shelf that one. Now, P. Diddy, when you put his daddy with Popeye Doyle, they trying to run him down, and he was all that big.
Mm-hmm.
They never was that big. P. Diddy never was that big, because if he was, he would have still been big then without, his daddy doing what he did. Now, he rose up on who? Who did he rise up on?
Who?
Who did P. Diddy rise up on? What rapper did he rise
Biggie.
up on?
Biggie.
He rose up on Biggie, Mary J., and other, artists that was out there at that particular time. That's what he rose up on. Now, if he was in the dog food game, he wouldn't have had to use that. He'd have had his own funds. He was broke. He didn't have nothing. He was a street hustler. He was selling dime bags. That's what he was selling. If your daddy that big, you'll be moving weight. You'll be moving bricks.
Well, his father died. His father was murdered.
I know, but listen, it goes to the son. You'll be moving bricks. You don't go down to a dime, standing on the corner, pushing dime bags through a slot. Okay? You keep selling bricks. Okay? Now, off of that. Now, you know who controls that? When the Mexican mafia moved in, they squashed the Italians. So that Popeye Doyle thing with the French connection, they squashed that. That heroin that they were bringing over was coming out of the Golden Triangle. That was China white. They went from that, it cost too much, and they went into Mexican mud. So, man, look, when you give out information, give out the right information. P. Diddy was a penny hustler when it comes to the game. He didn't have nothing going. You don't go from pushing out, cassettes out of your trunk. You'll have music studios. You don't go from pushing tapes out of your trunk, getting Biggie Mama. She go along with it. She can't stand Puffy because she thinks Puffy has something to do with her son getting murdered, right? So, Puffy played everybody, all right? So now, the rooster came home to crow. So, hey, I ain't got no love for him myself,
right?
All right? But, hey, man, when you tell stories straight out of the cannon now, be accurate, be on target.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your call, brother. It is what it is. All right, I'll talk to you. All right, folks. It's 7:01 p.m., so you know what that means. It is time for Happy Happies. We'll be right back after these.